Welcome into CBS Sports HQ on your Tuesday. I'm Amanda Guerra with you. SEC Media Days rolling along in Atlanta. Yesterday we had day one. If you are counting, this is very important. We are now just 40 days away until college football and the season begins. You have 5 weekends left until then. Make them count. Week 0, 5 weekends away from today. So yesterday at SEC Media Days, we heard from LSU, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia, Vandy quarterback, saying he's excited to play in Alabama. Maybe he's going to eat something there. Today, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee, and Texas, with both Texas and Georgia as favorites to win the national championship. Last year, Texas finished with a better record in the SEC, but fell to Georgia in the SEC title game. Here's more from Kirby Smart on his team with a new quarterback and a younger squad.
We're going to be really young, especially on the offensive and defensive lines, but 54% of our players are coming into their first or second year. So what do you get with that? You get youthful exuberance. We've had practices that have been spirited. We had a great spring practice that we talked about the words fire, passion, and energy. I think the biggest thing that separates college football teams today is complacency among players versus fire, passion, and energy among players. So we've tried to highlight those traits as much as possible with our players. Our players need to bring juice and energy each and every day. If they don't, they'll be confronted by the players that do. And if the players continue to do that, we'll have a successful season and a successful football team.
Kirby Smart knows how to coach them up. Let's welcome in our guys there from SEC Media Days. Two-time national champion with Alabama Crimson Tide, Damien Harris. Also our college football expert, our guru with a cult following, I will say, Josh Pate here. Let's start just with the temperature of the Georgia Bulldogs. Josh, I'm going to start with you. Look, heaven forbid we say they've not won the Natty since 2022. Fans are not happy about that. Another disappointing exit from the playoff. What is your temperature there in Athens right now?
It's not warm in a sense that there's any kind of like hot seat talk, obviously, Amanda, but the beef that people have if they're critical of Georgia football can't be that they, didn't perform because they won the SEC last year. It's that when you dug a little deeper, they couldn't run the ball. That's out of Kirby Smart's own mouth. They didn't play the caliber defense they're used to. That is also out of Kirby Smart's own mouth. And then the third part, the sort of third rail of all this, which fans don't hit on as much because they don't have as good a knowledge of the program as the coach himself does, is what Kirby's talking about. And he probably said that 100 times when we were in Athens this spring. We went to sit down with him for a day. He said, I'm not paying kids because of their talent level. If you could ever go and find me like talent and just hunger and the willingness to stick the face in the fan like we found in plentiful supply only a decade ago, that's who we'll pay. We'll pay those people to come to Georgia. So everything he said on that podium today, that's been the temperature, Amanda. There's a standard they want to play to. It's the same way it was where he coached under Nick Saban, seems like a generation ago now, and they're not willing to bend on that. Having said that, when 54% of your players are first or second year players, when you're throwing around the word complacency, when everyone on your roster is making money now, can you still meet that standard? That is the multi-million-dollar question for him and for Georgia.
And nobody has more fire, passion, and energy than Kirby Smart. I mean, he's at the top of the list of coaches whenever we talk about that. And I'm sure that that's just what he's trying to exuberate through his team, because that's what you have to do with young guys. You have to fight complacency, obviously, with these kids getting paid this much money this early in their careers. And also you have to fight the complacent feeling of, I've already arrived, I've already made it. And again, I'm going to point to the money part of that again, because it used to be you went to college and played hard so you can go to the pros and make big money. Well, now you're walking into big money, so you have to fight that complacency factor. But something that Kirby Smart said that I really want to do a deep dive on is you will be, if you don't have that fire, passion, and energy, you won't be confronted by the coaches. You will be confronted by the players who do have that. And that, to me, shows that he's put a leadership role on the guys that are going to be upperclassmen, the guys who do have that experience, the other 48%, to take accountability of the young guys around you. It's your job to keep them engaged. It's your job to keep them locked in on the common goal, which is ultimately winning a national championship for the University of Georgia.
A younger crew there, but somebody who was absolutely waited his turn. We got to talk about the new quarterback in Athens. Gunnar Stockton there with Carson Beck moving on to Miami after 2 seasons. We've seen glimpses of him. Damien, I'll give him credit. Look, he's waited his turn. He could have transferred. He decided not to. However, already there are a lot of critics out there about this guy saying he's not it for the Bulldogs. Maybe he'll be it for this season, but he is not necessarily the reason why they are going to win. What is your take on Gunnar Stockton, Damien?
Well, my take is this, and Josh, you and I have sat here and talked a lot about how it's a different feeling whenever defenses have an entire offseason to prepare. When defensive players in the best conference of football have an entire offseason to prepare for you as a quarterback. Well, let's talk about the inverse of that. Gunnar Stockton has had a full offseason to get himself ready to be the starting quarterback at Georgia. Now, it's up to him with what he's done with that opportunity, what he's done with the time since that loss to Notre Dame leading up to the season opener. That's up to him, but he's going to have to take that accountability. He's going to have to take the leadership role and realize, I did wait my time. I sat and I was patient and I waited for my opportunity. Well, now I'm not going to let that opportunity pass me by. And as a young guy, a young quarterback, when you've got older guys around you and younger guys around you, quite frankly, but they see that you've got that hunger. They see the work that you've put in during the offseason. They see how seriously you take being the quarterback of the University of Georgia, and you have that fire, passion, and energy. Well, the level of production is going to rise around you. The guys around you are going to play harder because the characteristics that Gunnar Stockton showed by staying patient and waiting his opportunity, those are qualities and characteristics that you look for in a leader of your team.
You know, so once upon a time, no one thought humans could run a sub 4-minute mile. So Roger Bannister is the first known human to run the sub 4-minute mile. Then a bunch of people ran it after that. So if I'm Kirby Smart and I'm in Athens, I'm getting ready for Georgia's season this year. Once upon a time, Stetson Bennett was an afterthought.
Yep.
Stetson Bennett, I mean, they tried everything they could to find someone to start so that Stetson Bennett didn't have to start for Georgia. That's the coaching staff talking. And then Stetson Bennett started, and they won 2 national championships with him. Okay, so now all of a sudden, it doesn't really matter if you're an afterthought. It doesn't really matter if people think they need to win in spite of you. If you're in an organization that's going to put you in a position to win, surround you with good talent, we just in the rearview mirror 2 years ago, 3 years ago, have an example of a guy who probably wasn't even as physically talented as Gunnar Stockton, who got the job done at the highest level possible. I'd hammer that stuff home if I were Kirby Smart in Georgia.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, people bought into him, though. Josh Pate and even Carson Beck. I mean, I did a Georgia game. I did a couple of them, and I talked to his teammates. They loved Carson Beck there. Is Gunnar Stockton showing those leadership skills? Are people buying into him as the leader of this team? I don't know if either one of you has that answer right now. Or do you? Have you heard anything?
Well, I don't. I think a lot of people talk about leadership and they think of it in terms of, like, if I went to a practice, is this guy yelling a lot? Or if I'm in the weight room, like, is this guy doing an extra rep? And is he really jacked up and fired up? Is he winning football games? Is he helping you win football, especially as a quarterback of a team? I don't care. Like, Amanda, you and I could be diametrically opposed in every other facet of life. If you're my quarterback and I'm your left tackle, I'm your tailback, and you're winning, you're making plays in the fourth quarter, you can lead me. Conversely, you and I could be great friends, get along, and share worldviews left and right. If you can't come through in the clutch, you can't lead me because you're not winning. You're not helping me win. And you play with guys like that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
You are exactly right. And the only thing I can add to that, because you said that so well, is look at Kirby Smart. Look at the example that he has set. I mean, he comes from the Nick Saban coaching tree, then he leaves, and he has more success in college football than any of Nick Saban's other assistants that have gone on to become head coaches. On top of everything that you just said, if I look at Gunnar Stockton and I see that he's following Kirby Smart's lead, and by that I mean I see Kirby Smart coaching him hard, he receives the coaching. It could be pretty, it could be ugly, but at the end of the day, I see that relationship between Gunnar Stockton and Kirby Smart. I'm thinking, okay, you know what? This guy's bought in. Kirby knows what he's doing. Obviously, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow this guy on top of all the things you just said. Can he win you football games?
Okay, so let's go to that at the bottom line. line is everybody's going to buy in if Georgia does win. The good thing for them, their 3 toughest opponents, they get them at home in Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas. Georgia, let's remind you, has the longest active home winning streak right now in the country, 31 games. The last time they lost at home was back in October of 2019 against South Carolina. Josh, how are you feeling about their schedule and how it fares for the Bulldogs?
Ooh, so 10-2 is a really, really good year, Amanda. And if I'm right, let's just say Georgia goes 10-2. High likelihood out of Alabama, Ole Miss, and Texas at home, those account for at least one of your losses, if not both of your losses. So, you know, maybe they have a good year that includes that home winning streak being snapped. But as much as we just talked about Gunnar Stockton, the ability to navigate the schedule you're looking at on your screen right now has to do with them being able to run the football.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, as much as we just talked him up, there's no world where neither you nor I look and say, man, Gunnar Stockton ought to be counted on to carry that team.
And they have Nate Frazier, a young workhorse type back. I mentioned this earlier in the show. This is a kid in his freshman year. He split ETN. He spared him, gave him his rest. But he also had 700 yards and 8 touchdowns as a true freshman. So this is a kid who can clearly play at a high level. But again, it goes back to Kirby, Mike Bobo. They have to be willing and adamant about running the football. When it's early in the game and you're getting 2 yards a pop, well, guess what? Those 2 yards a pop in the third quarter when you're wearing down the defense, because think of it like this, Josh Pate. I'm a running back, so this is all I think about. Those 2-yard runs, you know what we call those? We call those body blows. It's like a boxing match. You body blow, you body blow, you body blow. And then you get to the third and fourth quarter, when their guard is down, then you go for the knockout. So that's when those 2- and 3-yard runs turn into 10-yard runs, 12-yard runs, 20-yard runs. Then you get that 60-yard run to seal the game against an Alabama team or a Texas team at home. And then you just break their spirit. So take some of that pressure off of Gunnar Stockton, use Nate Frazier, use this young running back core, and just take some of the pressure off the quarterback's shoulders. Let him play free. Don't let him think that he has to go and win you the game or he's going to lose you the game. Surround him with playmakers, get him the help that he needs, and then make this an organic transition.
And hey, one other thing to think about, Kirby's talking about all these young guys he's got to play. They run about as complex a defensive system as there is in America, which means you're more prone to mental mistakes, busting coverage. You're facing DeBoer, Steve Sarkisian, Billy Napier, Lane Kiffin. You're facing some of the best offensive minds, offensive play callers in the game who are where they are right now because they've made a career out of exposing that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Guys, we appreciate it. Going to pay attention now to that Georgia run game and how they're looking as we lead up to this season. Welcome back. SEC days are rolling on, and right now we're talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. Taking a look at the odds to win the SEC championship. Texas and Georgia, they are tied at the very top end for good reason at plus 280 apiece. Texas technically had the better record overall last season. However, Georgia beat them in the first overtime game we saw in the SEC championship. But how are they going to fare this year? There's a lot to figure out. Those two teams also at the top to win the Natty. Let's welcome in our resident Georgia Bulldog fan, our betting expert, Mackenzie Brooks. Congratulations, though. I mean, how does it feel to have a new rival in Texas as opposed to talking about Alabama the whole time?
I know, this is very exciting. I mean, now it kind of feels like we have two rivals here, but the no division SEC is very fun, a lot of parity here, so excited to see what happens this season, but I will have some awkward remarks considering the posters behind me today.
All right, so let's dive into it. Bulldogs fans, buckle up here. Let's talk about the win total. It is set at 9 and a hook right now, with the over being minus 168. The under finds some plus value there at plus 130. The 3 toughest games you talked about it with Josh and Damien. They are at home this season. How do you feel about the win total?
It's tough. I mean, from a betting perspective, you always want to go with the plus money play if it feels like you can rationalize it. So the sports line model, we have them at 8.8 wins. So obviously rounding closer to that 9 there. So considering you're getting good plus money, I would advise the under. But listen, I advise the under on a ton of these SEC teams. I think everyone will be beating up on each other. But you mentioned it. They do get those 3 games at home, the 3 toughest games. If they can go, if they can go 1-2 in those games, they definitely make the playoff. But if they can go 2-1 in those games, that's when they go to hit this over on the season. So those are the 3 games you want to have your eye on. Obviously, winning that first one will be a very, very good start against Ole Miss. Maybe you start live betting in the middle of the season here. But when you can get plus money on something like that, I think you got to go with the under.
How hard was that for you?
You know what? I'm just really mature and professional, so That's what this is. Remember that at home.
Okay. Well, we'll remember that as we go along. What about the SEC to win it? Texas is right there with them. Look, there's even money when it comes to winning the SEC championship. Georgia did win last year in overtime. This Texas team, though, is a gauntlet. Do you place any money on either one of these teams?
I honestly lean Texas when it comes to the SEC championship. Like right now on a neutral field, I will say we basically have it as a 50-50 pick'em. I will say, I mean, this is just the first time in a while we know nothing about this Georgia quarterback, essentially. And, you know, you've lost so much. On paper, this is probably one of the worst Georgia teams we've seen in the last 5 years. And again, I say on paper because obviously anything can happen in the season. If you see them win one of these big home games and do it convincingly, I will have a lot more faith in this Georgia team. But as of right now, I mean, the Sportsline model, we're just big Texas fans. We were last year as well. As far as making the playoff, obviously, I think even just making that SEC championship game, honestly, even not making it, I think they should not have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, when it comes to Texas, not only is it a largely veteran team, they do get a lot of returning players from injury who were out last season. Okay, big picture when it comes to Georgia. Minus 280 to make the college football playoff, plus 650 to win the national championship. They have been to 3 of the past 4 playoffs. The last time they won the Natty was all the way back in 2022. Anything you like on this board?
It's tough. I mean, obviously no one wants to place a minus 280 bet. What I will say about, you know, to win the whole entire college football playoff, if they can get that 6 seed, I think relative to the 7 seed, right now that's where we have them. We basically have Alabama and Georgia with the same exact power ranking. Obviously their schedules aren't built exactly even, but if you see Georgia get that 6 seed and then they get to play an 11 seed instead of being a 7 that has to play a 10, that essentially doubles their chances to win the college football playoff. Like that 11-12 seed this year versus the rest of the field, 10 and above. There's such a gap that's going to happen. You'll see that group of 5 team. You'll see the worst, you know, Power 5 conference winner. Maybe it's like an Iowa State here, or maybe you see like a James Madison down there. So having that 6, and above will be super key. So if you think that Georgia is on their way to secure something like that, I think that's when you want to play this plus 650.
Okay, and for the rest of it, maybe just wait as the season rolls along to see how the Bulldogs look with a lot of unknowns. Mackenzie Brooks, you did a very good job. Your Georgia fans would be very proud of you. I appreciated the Early Edge podcast with Mackenzie, all of our betting experts. It is not just college football, although we are so excited about the college football season. NFL just around the corner, golf in full swing right now. Make sure to check them out.